The Hamilton Tiger Cats are on their way to the Grey Cup. They won the East Final 36-24 over the Toronto Argonauts on Sunday at the Rogers Centre. And Steve, this was a remarkable game in a remarkable season.
Really, I look back, I almost can't look back to day one. I can't look back to mini camps because I can't remember anything. There's been so much stuff happen. A credit to this team for keeping the course all the way through it when most of us really just noticed the weaving back and forth. They really did, and you really got to credit Austin for that. And boy, after Sunday's game, you really have to credit Henry Burris.
This game was a great allegory for the rest of the season. The Ticats were behind early in this game. Ricky Ray was destroying them in the first half. They came within a tipped D-Web ball of an 18-point lead, and they had to settle for a field goal. D broke up that pass, and from there on in, after that field goal, the Argos wouldn't score again. Burris leads a touchdown drive before the half, and then one right after the half, and we're off to the races.
That was it, and I think, yes, he was. Ray was 17 for 20 in the first half. Henry Burris was 17 for 21, Ray-like numbers in the second half. And it was immediately after that tip that Henry marched them from the 35. So how many yards is that? That's 75 yards for a touchdown. And the thing that changed in that series was Burris started to use his legs. He went for 14 yards up the middle. It was a kind of a semi-draw. I think it wasn't a real draw call, but they knew that it might be available, especially with Robert McCune. And that's when you started to notice the middle linebacker, an all-star type of middle linebacker for the Toronto Argonauts, was not in the game. But Henry Burris started to use his legs on that drive. He ran for 51 total, much of that on that drive and in the second half. And when he started to do that, it really, really opened things up. That changed the type of coverage, or it rendered ineffective what had been pretty effective coverage. He also had a lot more time to throw. That meant he was turning his hand over. The ball wasn't soaring like it did in the first half.
I'd also like to talk a little bit about the defense, which I think absolutely locked it down in the second half. The Argonauts ran 4 offensive plays in the third quarter and had the ball for just over 6 minutes in the second half, which is nothing.
Part of that, again, is offense. They kept Ricky Ray off the field, and then when he came in, he was a bit cold. And to Orlando Steinauer and the whole defensive unit's credit, they changed a few things up. Got a little more pressure on Ray, and that was a huge thing, getting pressure on Ray. And I think part of that, the ability to unleash pressure, has something to do with confidence in your own offense. They really knew that Henry Burris and his group, and Fantus.
Yeah, 11 catches for Fantus.
He wasn't going to let this happen.
Yeah. Second and long, it was Andy Fantus all day long.
And he got the first 2 touchdowns, both of them on real tough plays. He was interfered with horribly on the second one, just before he caught the ball. It was a very short pass. It was in the shadow on the goal line with guys on top of him. And the one that his first touchdown, he's looking over here and the ball's over here. I have no idea how he tracked that ball down. He just wasn't going to let this happen.
I want to talk about the fans as well. We'd certainly talked about the fact that we expected a decent Hamilton Tiger Cat fan presence at this game. It blew me away, Steve. I have to say this. Yeah. The Ticat fans, I think, have suffered a lot over the last few years, and there's been some, difficult times. Absolutely, they were a difference maker today. I felt
they really were, and it really they at least neutralized the Toronto fans, and the Toronto fans were out in pretty good number too.
Absolutely,
but the number, and I think what we saw here was a latency, and I think we talked about this leading into this game, that there's a care about both of these teams that sometimes goes underground, and I thought for both of them, it came out from the subterranean today. But particularly, I think you saw an awful lot of people from Toronto who live here now who are Tiger Cat fans, who maybe either grew up in Hamilton or have residence there or have been longtime Tiger Cat fans. The fans really did. And Bob Young spoke specifically to them after the game, saying, this one was for you. He said, I can't believe it. What we've put you through in 10 years, and you show up like this today, it was amazing. And now you've got the 2 smallest markets in the CFL meeting, and every time they play a Grey Cup, except for '67 when it was all Ticats all the way, that was their year. Probably the most dominant performance ever by a CFL team was 1967 Hamilton Tiger Cats. But other than that, most of the Grey Cups between these two teams have been fabulous. As you point out in your article in The Spectator, the last 2 were decided on the final play of the game.
Yeah, I point that out because, of course, Steve knew it off the top of his head.
Well,
but anyway,
I happened. I wasn't at the 32 game, but I happened to be there at a couple of the most recent ones.
But this matchup is ideal in terms of storylines, right?
Yeah.
You obviously have Fantuz.
Maybe too many.
Yeah,
Maybe
Fantuz.
too many.
For a guy like me, absolutely. Fantuz. You have the Austin storyline going back to Regina and won cups there as a player and as a coach. You have former coaches in George Cortez. Now with the Riders as offensive coordinator, Corey Chamlin is a former coordinator here in Hamilton. It's like
this is a talk fest.
Yeah,
this is a talk fest.
mean,
except for George, he doesn't talk. But this is going to be incredible, and the people of Regina are going to be insane about it. There'll be people sleeping on the streets about this. I mean, if the NFL makes a big deal, now not to disparage the NFL by any means, about Green Bay getting in, well, we got a great cup here with 2 Green Bays in it.
Yep.
It's amazing.
Make sure you check out Monday Spectator for all the reports from this game, and make sure you follow the Scratching Post blog all week long for all the news regarding the Grey Cup. Reporting for the Hamilton Spectator with Steve Milton, I'm Drew Edwards.